Welcome to the most transformational podcast in the whole world. Today, you're going to learn something that maybe you will not learn anywhere else. This is something that boy, let me tell you, this is special. This is one of those episodes that you need to meditate deeply, that you need to actually breathe the episode. It's not only about listening, it's about breathing. And a lot of the insights that I will be transmitting to you have a crazy hair here. Sorry. A lot of the insights that I will be transmitting to you in this episode, they will take time to fully develop in your psyche and in your spirit and in your communication, in your constant communication with God, with the cosmos, with the ultimate creator, with ultimate consciousness, with infinite love or supreme intelligence or primordial or the multiverse or whatever you want to call this mysterious aspect of your existence, that in the final analysis is not mysterious at all. It's right, it's very mysterious, obviously, but at the same time it's just the here and now. Have you noticed this? This is God. You are God. We are all God. God is everything. So it doesn't have anything mysterious. It's just everything. But how can you communicate with everything? Sometimes you cannot even communicate with your professor. Sometimes you cannot even communicate with your partner, right? Sometimes you cannot even communicate with your son or your daughter or whatever. How then can you communicate with God? Well, first thing, obviously, you need to understand the language of God. If you don't understand the language of God, it's like trying to communicate with a cat. If you don't understand the meow meow meow, you will not understand the cat because you are not understanding the language of the cat, right? If you don't understand German, you cannot communicate with a German. Maybe you can communicate non-verbally, or maybe you can try to speak English, another language, like a middle term, a neutral land in language, but that is another thing. To communicate with God effectively, you need to understand his language. You need to understand the language of all, your natural language, you see, because sometimes and in this episode specifically, I'm like, I have here the whole list of what we are going to discuss here. And some of these things, most of these things, you already know. You already know the material. If you're a personal development junkie, if you're an addict of this type of material, you already know. But maybe you don't know that this is the language, or maybe you don't appreciate with a lot of profundity or deepness that this is the language. And maybe in this podcast, I can help you with that. One of the benefits of speaking the language of God is that you will finally feel very connected with existence, with life itself. You will not be separated anymore. You will not be isolated anymore. And here in this new generation, these modern times, solitude or connection of everything else is kind of a cancer, right? It's kind of a disease of the soul. And that is very sad because when you are really enlightened, when you are really supra conscious, it's impossible to be alone. It's impossible. Even if you are alone socially, it's impossible to be alone spiritually because you are everything. So you are with everyone at the same time, all happening at once. So I hope that with this episode, you will become a better believer, a better spiritual leader, a better personal developer, a better psychonaut, a better human being in general. But most importantly, you will become better as a mystic and as a explorer of the esoteric, of the unknown, of the mysterious that is not that mysterious at all. You will become better at the language and communication with God. Come on, give it to me. Welcome, my friend, to the most transformative podcast in the multiverse. This is the podcast that speak God's language, the Mastermind Podcast Challenge. Season 2 with your host, the Papacito of Puerto Rico, Dr. Derek Israel, your favorite doctor of all time. And this is the episode 614. Welcome. So, what is my objective in this episode? My objective is the following, my friend, that you will develop a new critical perspective of understanding God's language. And this new perspective, of course, it will be multi-perspectival, it will be multidimensional, and you will understand God's language with a lot of deepness. You see, God is speaking right now, all the time, everywhere, in every space, in every time, in every gravity, in every poetry, in every love song, in every movie. But maybe you are not sophisticated enough yet, but you are getting there to hear and to listen and to decipher God's language. And this is a paradox here, folks, because in one part it's very, very simple to hear God. You want to hear God? Look, just here, right now. Hear it. Whatever sound you are hearing right now is God. Right now, I'm just hearing like a car that is driving through the street right now, and I know that is God. Right now, I'm hearing a little bit of the fan of my laptop. Oh God, that is God. You see, I'm hearing my voice. That is God. But in the other sense, in the other hand, it's very complex because you may say, Derek, if everything is God and everything that I hear is God, well, I am not hearing God, because if everything is God, then nothing is God. You see, it's like it loses sense. How can I know what aspects of God I need to hear? Like, and I need to put my attention on in order to grow, in order to be more connected, in order to sophisticate my consciousness. What aspect of those infinite sounds of God's language I need to concentrate on? Well, that is a very good question. That's a very good question. And this is the paradox. In one part, it's very simple to hear God, and in another part, it's very difficult. And you need to have a lot of perspicacity, a lot of insight, a lot of intelligence, a lot of discrimination. I will say a lot of sensibility to hear God's messages. And one of the things that you need to be very careful on is that sometimes your ego, your personality, will distort these messages. And you can easily fall into a schizophrenia. You can easily fall into a schizotypic or schizotypical personality organization. And this type of individuals, they have a lot of self-reference type of ideals, and that means that they think that everyone or every sound or every message in the world is for them, directed to them, and they become paranoid, and then they go to a hospital, and then they are medicated forever and blah blah blah. So be careful. So yeah, everything is God and everything is talking to you, but not to you. To you as everything, as consciousness, but not to you as an ego. You see, you are not that important. God is speaking to you, but not to your ego. You see, not to your finite identity. This is something that is transcendental. You need to transcend yourself to really understand the sublime aspects of this practice of listening and understanding God's language. If you have a big, solidified ego, you will say, of course, he's talking to me. No, he's not talking to you at all. He's talking through you. He's talking by you. He's talking for you. But the you is the multiverse. It's not the you, the person. And that is a tough truth to swallow because you want God to speak to you, the person. But God cannot speak to you, the person, because you are God. So God only speaks to God. It's a self-reference language. It's like a intelligence. It's like a artificial intelligence that coded itself. It's a singularity. You see. So this is the new perspective that I want you to form. Is multi-perspectival, is simple, and in the same time is complex. And I will give you critical insights that I will call points that will help you to navigate this language. If you become proficient and very good, if you master the communication through these different points, you will hear God more easily and you will be able to communicate with Him every day of your life. So, the first critical insight is that God speaks through people. It's a very easy one. And this is one of the most mainstream. And it's true. Sometimes God is speaking through the homeless man that is giving you an advice randomly. Sometimes God is speaking through the guy that just appeared in an advertisement in YouTube and he's telling you something. And maybe you don't buy his product. Maybe you skip the ad because you want to watch the podcast of Derek Israel. But those 3 seconds of the woman or the guy telling you something, it was God. Sometimes will be a random movie or guy or whatever in a movie. Or sometimes will be your psychologist or your professor, or sometimes your daughter, your son. whatever. The mask, it doesn't matter. The person, it doesn't matter. What matter is the language, the intelligence behind the person, the event. And for more on that, go to my episode titled The Enigmatic Nature of Events, the synchronicity, the serendipity. That is what matters. So when you have problems listening to people, you miss a lot in life because you are not listening to people. You are not listening to God, you see, because people is God. So if you have this massive ego that think that you don't need to listen, maybe, I don't know, the cleaning man, or maybe the mechanic of a car, or maybe you don't need to listen the stripper, whatever, you are missing God. You are missing God. Because sometimes God will speak through a very high status person, like a politician, or maybe like a doctor, as myself. But sometimes it will be a low status person, just like a, I don't know, like a, just a normal worker of Starbucks. The guy that serves you the coffee, he's God. Understand, you are taking the coffee and he may tell you something, and you may say, it's just another guy of Starbucks. No, it's God. It's the language of God. But you are not seeing, you are not listening. Practice this. Open your ears. And more importantly, open your heart. Also, God speaks through animals. I'm a huge practitioner of spiritual animals. I have a couple of episodes about them. But if you just sit and watch an animal, whatever animal, a mosquito, a pig, a spider, I was just watching, observing, and contemplating frogs and dragonflies a couple of days ago. Oh my God, they speak the language of God. The frogs, they were so present in that pond that I was looking at, that I was contemplating. They were just here and now. The language of God is here and now. And the dragonflies, they were flying so beautifully with those bright colors, shining their true colors. That is the language of God. Shining your true colors, shining your true identity, shining your authenticity. That is the language of God. Sometimes you can just contemplate a cat, a dog, a horse, whatever, man. Just contemplate ants and you will understand the language of God. It is a mistake of humans that we think that all the other species are inferior species. They are not. All the species are God. That's why in Jainism, one of the most powerful religions of Orient or Asia, um, they don't kill any insect. And I don't know a lot about that religion. I will be practicing a lot of that very soon. It's on my to-do list to explore that religion a lot. But one thing that I know is that they are always very careful with not killing any animal because they understand that that animal deserves the right to live, the right for consciousness, the right for love, because that animal is God. But you see, you think that God is a crazy guy in the skies with a beard. No, God is a mosquito, man. you know, God is a lizard. Every animal, every species, everything. So by exploring animals, observing them, also plants, you will understand the language of God. God do not need to speak through words only. Sometimes he do, sometimes he barks. Sometimes he do something like right? You're like, what the hell? Oh man. Um uh, a funny story, a couple of months ago I was in my last spiritual retreat that I did in Puerto Rico. I was in my parents' home and I decided to take a walk, but I was in a mystical state, right? I was in a very altered state of consciousness state. So I live in a very, very country part of Puerto Rico, surrounded by cows and horses and stuff like that. At least that is my old house, the house of my parents when I was raised, where I was raised. And I saw those cows, and in the altered state of consciousness that I was in, they were like supra cows. you know, because when you are in a state of consciousness of enlightenment and awakening, when you are saved, for more on that, go to my episode titled How to Guarantee Your Holy Salvation. Everything seems divine, everything seems with light, with divine light, with grace. You can see the things as they truly are. It's not that you are projecting a stuff. No, most of the time you are inhibiting the beauty of life. You are not seeing life right. You are not seeing the true colors of life. And when you are in a mystical state of consciousness, finally you see right. And I saw those cows, man, and they were the same cows as ever. But at the same time, they were super cows because I saw them as they really are. And I learned from them. So learn to speak the language of animals, and you will speak the language of God. Also, you need to understand that God speaks through dreams. Carl Jung says sometimes the better deeds are accomplished in dreams. Yeah. Be a very, very powerful scientist of your dreams. And I am referring to the dreams that you have when you are sleeping. Those languages of your dreams, those are so symbolic. They are so meaningful. They have so many roots of meaning, so many roots of art, of poetry, of myth, that you cannot just take them from granted. Your dreams are spiritual substance. It's very important for you to have a dream notebook where you can document your dreams, you can analyze your dreams, read books about dreams interpretation, get familiar with the language of dreams because that is the language of God. How many prophets, how many mystics, they were informed of their mission on a dream. And you think that you're having just weird dreams. They are not weird dreams. They are only weird when you don't know how to speak the language of God. When you know how to speak the language of God through dreams, you say, oh my gotchi. Oh my gotchi. That is exactly what I need to do. So I dreamt that I was running in a desert and I fall in my face and I died in that dream. Oh my gotchi. That means that I need to, I don't know, to leave my relationship. This is an example. And you may say, how the hell one thing can carry you to the other thing? Like how those things are related, Derek? Please. They are related. If you understand the language of God, if you think literally in your dreams, you're thinking wrong because your dreams are not literal. Your dreams are symbolic. They are psychic language. They are imagery language. They are pictorial, mythological language, the language of God. Know the language of logics, not the language of linearity, you see. Not the language of rationality. They are the language of intuition, God, anima, emotions, affect, dreams, world, fantasies, myth, the unconscious, the archetypes, the archetypal, the mythopoetic. Go to my episode titled Live a Mythopoetic Life or Do Not Live at All. Also, God speaks through revelations. This is a very important one. One of my best and most profound conversation with God was through a revelation. This whole business that I have been conducting for the last 6 years is a product of a revelation. You know, I was meditating one day in my bed very profoundly and I cannot explain how it happened. I just saw. I just saw a new generation of people that were sophisticated as hell in a vision. I saw this in a vision. People that were self engineering very profoundly with personal development and spiritual development patterns, and in a very beautiful, poetic, mythologic way, I was the leader of that movement. I didn't want that. I didn't ask for that. I was just a normal student of psychology. I was not asking for that. I spent a whole year trying to forget about it, trying to say, okay, that was just a vision, but it was not. It was a revelation. And it changed me forever. And then I said, okay, I will do it. If this is my destiny, I will do it. And I'm still here. And I haven't created yet what I saw in the revelation. I think that that is my life purpose. And I teach you guys to learn, to discover your life purpose in my course titled How to Discover Your Life Purpose, How to Manifest Your Life Purpose. The link is in the description in derekisrael.com. Revelations are the language of God. If I just thought, okay, that is just a vision, who cares, blah, 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 that is just a fantasy, I was meditating, I was hallucinating, blah, 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 my life and the life of thousands and millions of people that had watched my content over the years will be different today. Is by the fact that I decided to go all in on the vision or the revelation, that I'm doing this today and that you are benefiting from this and working with me in coaching, psychology, or whatever, just watching the free content. I don't know. Different people, different styles, different deepness of work with me. But you need to check your revelations, specifically when you're meditating profoundly, when you are doing your yoga, when you are doing your journalism. They may come, bam, you see them. It's like, oh, it's like a aha moment, right? Aha, oh my gotchi. That is cool, huh? And after that, you need to follow that. It's not about just having the revelation. No, dude, follow the steps. Carry your cross. Carry your karma. Burn your karma with love and action, love in action. It's a beautiful thing to do. I think it's the most mythopoetic life to live. Also, God speaks through inspired thought, inspired ideas. When you are feeling bold, when you are feeling big, when you are feeling that you cannot fail, God is speaking to you. This is beautiful, huh? Understand, when you are feeling down, when you are thinking down to yourself, when you are a victim in your mentality, that is Satan, that is the devil, that is the opponent, that is ego, that is that demon, that is sin, that is a scarcity of divine morality, that is basically lack of personal development, that is negative thinking, that is the lower you. That is not God. God is the whole contrary. It's when you are thinking big, when you are seeing yourself in your best version and you are having these crazy, massive ideas to go all in a business, in a massive project of art, in that relationship that you really want. I don't know what is when you are thinking big, but you know when you are thinking big. You know when you are feeling bold, you are feeling rebel, you are feeling that you can conquer the world. Those moments, dude, those moments, that is God speaking. That is the language of God. Listen to that. Follow that. Trust that. It's essential. Inspired thought. Your thought is in spirit. Inspired in spirit. That is the root of the word. Also, God speaks through altered state of consciousness, through psychedelics, through pranayama, through meditation, through music, through sound healing, through working out, through shamanic breathing, through mantras, through deep sounds. Oh, through Kundalini yoga, through Qigong, through Tai Chi, whatever you do to alter your state of consciousness, God speak there, man. Because in the beta waves, or in the beta consciousness, or in the normal state of consciousness, you are so distracted. You are so distracted and disconnected from the beauty of life, from the beauty of existence itself, that, man, you are not listening to God. God is still speaking, but you are not listening. You see. But when you are in an altered state of consciousness, it's like you become a full ear, a full reception principle, and you can absorb the light. You become like a black hole. You know, if you study black holes in this universe, they absorb light so much that light cannot even escape. Well, they are like a vagina of the universe. So you become a vagina, a metaphysical vagina. You become like a spiritual vagina. When you are in an altered state of consciousness, you can receive the spirit, you can receive the sperm, you can receive the spermatica, the phallus, the spark of life. See? And then you become a penis. You become a metaphysical penis. A penis is erect, is hard, is penetrative, right? You penetrate with a penis. So then when you received, you go to the other side and then you penetrate reality with action, with massive action, with materialization of the inspired thought. But to have that inspired thought, go to an altered set of consciousness with techniques. You can hack this with martial arts. For example, you can hack this. This whole 614 episodes, this has been bilingual teachings of different techniques to alter your consciousness. Practice whatever. Just take a random episode and practice whatever. You will alter your consciousness. Also, God speaks through emotions. This is very important because we think that emotions are very human. You know, we think that emotions are what constitute our souls, and our souls is like three-dimensional, like it's material. It's like the aspect of the psyche that is materialized. It's a vital, it's a vitalistic principle. Yeah, it's kind of metaphysical, of course, but at the same time, it's always related to the physical, to the sex drive, right? To be to angry, to anger, to sadness. It's like physical. Yes, it is physical. But who said that God is not physical? God is so physical that God is this sticky note. Look, I'm here touching God right here, right here. I'm kissing God right now. It's physical. And the same time is spiritual, and the same time is ethereal, and the same time is abstract, and the same time is a pattern, and the same time is supra physical, at the same time is so physical that you cannot even watch it because it will distort time and space. It will distort consciousness itself, in another universe. So is everything, is every state of being. So it is your emotions. So learn to listen to your emotions, how you are feeling in every given moment. That is God. How you are feeling now is how God is feeling. You see? Hmm. Right now, I'm very hungry. Right now, I'm almost fasting. Like, I only ate today in my breakfast, like, a couple of, how do you say that? It's like it's not a candy. How do you say it? Almonds. Almonds with chocolate. I love that healthy snack with dark chocolate. And I ate a banana and a couple of mini pancakes. That's it. And it's 7 p.m. So I haven't eat anything else because I have been working so focused today. So focused in my life purpose. But now I realize in the middle of the podcast I'm very hungry, right? So I know that God is hungry. God is experiencing hunger right now through my emotions. And I accept that. And I love that with compassion, with respect, with wisdom, with sensibility, you see. So you always want to feel happy. But God, He doesn't want to feel happy all the time. God also wants to know what is sadness, what is to be angry, what is to be surprised, what is to be fearful. So learn to love and to accept every emotion, because every emotion is a facet of God, is a distinction in His consciousness. You are giving God, aka the universe, a distinct experience. Also, God speaks through art, different type of art. When you are doing art, for example, man, you are speaking with God. Do you know how many insights, profound insights, God like insights that I have developed during the podcast, during this performance of speaking to you guys in the most transformational podcast in the world? Well, of course, because I am doing my art. And then oh my God, I realized something. I connect some dots, and that changed my life. Sometimes it changed your life too, huh? So, yeah. Also, when you are doing your art, you speak with God. But also, when you are just contemplating others people's art, you can speak with God. For example, a lot of people in the theaters, when the classical movie, I recommend this movie. If you haven't watched it, watch it. You will speak with God during that movie. It is called 2001 A Space Odyssey. 2001 Space Odyssey. And in that movie, there's a scene in with that, you know, when the astronaut is falling into a stream of different colors in space, and that light is like a luminous light. It's like God-like light. And um and people in the theaters when that movie came for the first time, people were amazed, so amazed that they were crying. They were praising the movie and screaming in the theaters, It's God! I am watching God!" Because a lot of people, of course, they went to see the movie with LSD, and with the effects of other psychedelic technologies. So they were more susceptible to see that. But what I mean is that you can learn to appreciate God in an art, like a movie. For example, I also recommend you the movie The Tree of Life from Brad Pitt. The Tree of Life. You will be able to appreciate God in that movie very, very profoundly. And also in a steady night, for example, you can appreciate God in Van Gogh's, or maybe in a song, in a Mozart sonata, or maybe in a Elvis Presley song, or whatever, man. You can appreciate God in a piece of art, definitely. And that is God's language. When you are perplexed, when you are transfigured by a piece of art, like you are never the same, God spoke to you. For example, I read this book. It's a classical Hispanic literature book. It is called El Túnel, and I recommend you that book. You can read it in only 2 sits. It's very, very short, and that book gave me an impression for my whole life. Like I will never forget it. Never. I spoke with God during that reading, reading the El Túnel. In English, how the hell that book is called? Let me just search. I'm searching. Oh, look, the tunnel. Weird. The tunnel is in English. The tunnel? No, no, that is not. That is not the one. Let me just see. Oh yeah, the tunnel. Yeah, it's kind of the title. Weird. Very weird. Anyway, read that. So God also speak through your orgasm. If you learn to hear and to listen and to feel and to get lost and to die and to truly live your orgasm, you will be able to speak with God. One of the things that is very beautiful, and I teach you to how to do this step by step in my course, Sexual Mastery. Go to derekisrael.com. The link in the description. You can, enroll in that course. Will change your life. But one of the things that you will notice is that when you are having an orgasm, you are having a thought as well. Some people say, I am not thinking when I'm having an orgasm. That is not true. You are thinking, but you don't are aware, because that is God language. Whatever you are thinking during the climax of your orgasm, that is a direct God's communication. But you need to become aware. So you are not only enjoying the orgasm, and please do, but also become aware of, what is the thought or what is the image that is coming to my mind in this moment. And it's going to be so subtle. It's going to be like just like that. And sometimes it's just like a little bit of a message, or maybe a vision, or maybe an image, or whatever, but that is God's direct communication right there, through sex, through orgasm. That is one of the ways that you can learn how to speak with God. Another way is through stories, through myth, through mythology, through stories that your grandpa may tell you, through stories that are in the children's book. You know, we human beings, we are programmed to like stories. That is the primal form of knowledge transmission through stories. And that's why you may be listening to this podcast, but when I say to you, so let me give you a story. And one day, and you are like super focused, and then I finish the story, I go back to the theory, blah 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 blah, and you are like, okay, we go back to the theory, and you listen, but maybe you get lost. But when I say, and then one day, I was doing this, and you are again focused, right? Because the stories is God. There you find wisdom, the divineness in the stories. So learn how to listen to stories in movies, in TV shows, in books, in people, in whatever story form, maybe in a song. So one thing is the art, right? The artistic principle, the artistry of the thing. The other thing is the story in the art. Do two things, and you can find God in both, or in a synergistic relationship between both of them. Also, God speaks through service. When you help someone, God is speaking. When someone helps you, God is speaking. When you are nurturing the poor, when you are feeding the poor, when you are healing the sick, when you are helping a blind man cross the street, when you are serving, 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 believe me, that is God speaking, man. That is God communication. So if you want to learn how to speak more the God's language, serve more. You are built to serve. Selfless service. It's not about you serving. It's about serving, and that's it. It's about the verb, not the noun. It's about the action, not the protagonist or the actor of the action. And the last point, because I'm very hungry, aka God is very hungry. God speak through silence. You want to hear God? Hear this. Silence is God. So don't be afraid of being silent. Don't hide from silence. Don't avoid silence. Like people think that I am a big talker. Maybe I am, but I am also a big silent person. I don't need to talk. I am doing this because I told you I had a revelation and I want to do it. It's my purpose. But if I was not doing this, I will be probably silent. I don't need to talk. I can enjoy silence. Is love, is God. So learn how to have a better relationship with silence. When you need to talk all the time, you are avoiding something. You are avoiding an affect. You are avoiding an emotion. You're avoiding a trauma. You're avoiding God. You see? So don't avoid God. How you can communicate with something that you are avoiding? Doesn't make any sense. So don't avoid things by talking too much. Be comfortable with silence when you have to, and you will learn to speak God's language. Okay, that's it, my friend. I hope that with this episode, you have a better context and more wisdom about how to speak this God's language through dreams, through art, through mythology, through silence, through other people, through animals, through revelations, through inspired thought, through altered state of consciousness, through emotions, through orgasms, through stories. through service. And hey, I forgot one. Also, God speak through political and social change. Whatever is going on in your country is God speaking. Whatever is going on in social media, God speaking. Social change, politics, economy, big macro structures, institutions, stuff like that, God speaking. So it's not only in the units, it's also in the complex systemic variables. God is speaking. So learn how to listen the political God. Learn how to listen the economical God. Those are also wisdom right there. So leave a comment. What other type of God's language? Because I'm sure that this is not an absolute list. What can you think of in God's language? Leave a comment below. I will read you and I will answer you. Also share this with a friend. This helped this channel a lot. I am very proud. Finally seeing a lot of results in my YouTube channel. Um, we are growing fast now. It have been 6 years of very slow growth in this platform. But now is getting faster and faster and faster. And I hope that very soon we are going to become exponential growth. And when that happens, I'm going to the skies. And the message, more importantly than me, our message, our personal development proposal, our bilingual proposal is going to the skies and is going to reach a lot of millions and millions and millions of consciousness, and we're going to change the world. And yeah, I'm very proud of that. So share this with your friends in your social media, and that way you help me to continue with this work. Also remember that we are on Patreon and you can support our work on Patreon. In that way, you support our research and you make sure that this podcast stay totally free forever with your donations. Thank you for everyone that is donating. You can start today only with $5 per month. It's not a big deal, but it's a big deal to me. So, and it's a very good way to show appreciation for this work if you are benefiting from it totally free. Also, remember that we have the Telegram chat. Um, is completely free, and the link is on the description. In that chat, we have people that are very well taught, people that is very intellectual and spiritual. So join us. And also remember that in derekisrael.com you can find everything that I have on store. There you can have my courses. I have very good courses that can totally transform your life. I have bilingual courses on sexual mastery, self-love, meditation, hyper productivity, integrity, life purpose, and a couple of more that are coming in the future, near future. Also, I have there my reservations. You can book my coaching program if you want to work one-on-one with me and transform your life. You can book my Guru Spiritual program if you want to transcend as a spirit. Also, you can book my psychology therapy business. If you live in Puerto Rico and you want me to be your psychologist, I have some spots available there. And also in theregistraral.com, you will be able to see the merchandise that I will be uploading very soon and launching, and also all the books that I will be publishing and all the new stuff, powerful stuff that I will be doing in the future with this business and with this movement. So, my friend, learn to speak the God's language. You can do it. It's very simple and very complex, but you just need to learn how to talk with the mysterious, that in the final analysis is not mysterious at all. I see you in the next one.